If we could get you to take seats, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Truckee Town Council for December 11th, 2018. Judy, should we have the roll, please?
Mayor Wallace D.
Here.
Vice Mayor Tillman.
Here.
Councilmember Abrams.
Here.
Councilmember Goodwin.
Here.
Councilmember Flora.
Here briefly.
Thank you.
I didn't ask him this in advance, but Tony Lashbrook, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Would you follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Tony. This is the time for public comment. Anyone wishing to address this body on any item not on tonight's agenda, please step to the microphone, state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, we will close public comment. Our presentation tonight is a very special one. We have Francisco Castillo here from Public Affairs, Corporate Relations, Union Pacific Railroad, who's going to make a very special presentation to the town of Truckee.
Good evening, Mayor. Thanks for having me here and accommodating me into the schedule. I know it's a very special day with the swearing in of two new council members, and so congratulations to the new council members that are going to be joining. I guess council members elects that are going to be joining the council meeting soon, and congratulations to Councilmember Goodwin as well for your re-election. But really quick, it all started with the signing of the Pacific Railway Act of 1862 by President Abraham Lincoln. The Central Pacific Railroad of California, chartered in 1861, was authorized to build a line east from Sacramento. At the same time, the act chartered the Union Pacific Railroad to build west from the Missouri River. The original legislation granted each railroad 6,400 acres and up to $48,000 in government bonds for each mile completed. And so, the Great Race began. May 10th, 2019 is a historic day in the U.S. It marks the 150th anniversary of the Golden Spike at Promontory Summit, Utah, uniting the Union Pacific and Central Pacific Railroads and opening the American West. It was a turning point that revolutionized the nation's settlement and economic development. Union Pacific and Truckee have intertwined histories dating back to the 1860s. The first transcontinental railroad spurred growth for Truckee and its surrounding communities more than 150 years ago. Truckee became a major supply stop for both crews and materials needed to extend the railroad into the Nevada desert, and Union Pacific continues to operate here today. After the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad, communities all along the backbone of the western United States, some created by the railroad, were forever changed. On May 10th, 2017, Union Pacific announced the launch of our Great Race to Promontory. It's a 2-year program to recognize communities along the overland route. Leading up to the 150th anniversary of the driving of the Golden Spike have offered numerous opportunities for Union Pacific to celebrate their long-standing partnerships with communities that grew up along the original transcontinental route. Union Pacific has been hosting activities and celebrations in communities along the route whose past is closely rooted with the building of the Transcontinental Railroad that joined the nation 150 years ago. We're proud to launch a special anniversary website, www.up.com/Golden Spike, that offers details of historical information and archive photos chronicling the story of the 46 communities that played a role in the railroad's construction, including Truckee. We also have a 7-by-7-foot display featuring historical photos and descriptions that will travel to communities with historical ties to the railroad's development. And we're also donating a custom panel highlighting each community's railroad connection that was created to be gifted to the corresponding communities. Additionally, special education curriculum materials are available for schools. The steam engine, I know there's been a lot of questions about the steam engine. UP's historic steam engine will embark on a special excursion along the Transcontinental Route in April of 2019, leading up to the 150th anniversary in May. So you'll see the steam engine come through Truckee in April, so we'll have more details about that. Also in October, this past October, the Chinese American Heritage Foundation, it's a community-driven organization, launched their Harmony Through Union. It's a project with a float in the 2019 Rose Parade, presented by Honda. It's the first Chinese American nonprofit organization to sponsor a Rose Parade float since the Tournament of Roses began in Pasadena, California in 1890. And we're proud to sponsor the Chinese American Heritage Foundation's Harmony Through Union 2019 Rose Parade float. The float is a dynamic reenactment of the Transcontinental Railroad's completion, and it is designed to honor immigrant contributions to the U.S. development. And finally, a commemorative golden spike. Union Pacific's community partners along the Transcontinental Route have been presented with a commemorative golden spike that's encased in a glass box. The engraved message, and I'll take it out so you guys can all see it. It says the engraved message reads, "Towns developed, the bond between UP and the early settlements grew. As we celebrate the 150th Golden Spike anniversary, UP is proud of these long-standing community relationships." So the men and women of Union Pacific are honored to serve the mission given to us by Abraham Lincoln himself, to connect and support this country and the communities that define it. In 1869, we connected America, and we've been building America and her communities ever since. So with that, I wanted to present the Golden Spike to the mayor and take a quick photo with the council for the city to have. And I'll leave the display for the city to work with local communities to determine where they want to put it up. So, want to do it? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Do a photo right here, and we can do a photo over. Yeah, do you want to do a quick photo?
Back of the room waiting for
Thank you. Oh, you got that? Okay.
Okay, we'll open this presentation for public comment. Everybody's quiet today. Seeing none, we close public comment. Our consent calendar tonight is 5 items. 6.1 in the minutes of the November 27th meeting, regular and closed session. The certification of the election results. 6.3 is the Development Code Update 2018, second reading of Ordinance 2018-15. 6.4 is the California Department of Fish and Wildlife grant funding. 6.5 is the Coldstream Canyon Sediment Reduction and Wetlands Rehabilitation Project Non-Point Source Pollution Grant Letter of Support. Would any member of this council like to pull an item? Any member of staff?
No.
Any member of the public? I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Our first public discussion has had a small change. This is our annual financial statement and audit report for the fiscal year 2017-18, and unfortunately our auditor is very ill. So our administrative director will be making the presentation for her.
Yeah.
It's quick.
I don't have it, so.
All right, well, done. Quick staff report.
Sorry, technical difficulties here. I'll get it. I can't give it to you, so. Oh, yeah, good idea. Yes, that's it.
And just hit
And now,
slideshow.
here we go.
Perfect.
Okay, here we go. Yes, thank you, Mayor D and council members. I didn't really expect to be doing this presentation this evening, but our auditor did send the presentation, so I'm going to go through, I think, what she would have told you. So we're talking about our fiscal year's financial statements for the period that ended on June 30th, 2018. And the objective of an audit is that to make sure that we as management are correctly representing the financials when we present them to you and to the public. And the auditor's tasked with forming an independent opinion on those financial statements. So they keep an arm's length relationship with staff. They report directly to you as council, and they're tasked to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and reporting in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. They've been on premises twice. Their interim field work was in June this year, 2018. They do a lot of time doing risk assessment to see if there's areas that they don't feel we have our processes properly in place. They look at council minutes. They ask all of you. They write you a letter to ask you if there's any areas that you have concerns about. Then they document and test our financial processes, and there's a list here of the different areas they look at. And they also look at what's called internal controls, and those are things that are put in place to make sure that there's as much fiscal accountability and control over the town's assets, whether that be money or other types of assets, as is possible. They did their year-end field work this year in October. They look at the year-end balances. They do what's called a single audit, which I'll talk about a little more in a minute, and they actually review our financial statements. So, reporting the results of the audit, there's actually 5 reports here, and I'm going to go through each one. The independent auditor's report, this is really the most important report that you get, and it tells you whether we've done our job. And there's 3 types of opinions: unmodified, modified, or adverse. Adverse being the worst. We have an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that you can get that we have done our financial reporting, accounting and reporting properly. So that's a clean audit opinion. We have a government auditing standards report that is looking for any weaknesses in our internal controls, if we have any deficiencies in those controls, or if we haven't complied with any of the requirements by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board or by any of the federal agencies that we need to comply with, or any other state requirements, and we had no compliance exceptions. There's a single audit report, and this is required only when you have more than $750,000 in federal funds. We don't actually expend that much annually, but we do have a number of grants from the federal government, and so this makes us subject to the single audit requirements. And so the auditors will take an even more close look at these particular transactions related to the federal items. And again, we had a clean opinion on that with no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies noted. So that's what you want to hear. And then they need to provide you a report. You are the ones that are charged with governance, and they need to tell you some of the estimates that we've made, and they're listed on the last bullet there, because we do need to make some estimates based on actuarial data at times, or else depreciation, which is an estimated life of an asset. They're also going to tell you if they had any disagreements with us, or we were opinion shopping, etc. And they're saying in this report also that they didn't have any difficulties with us, that we were cooperative, and that there were no audit adjustments, that we made those audit adjustments. And I think it's important to point out that what management's role is to accumulate the financial data and then prepare the financial statements. Oftentimes that second part is more difficult for smaller local agencies like ours, but we do that. Prepare all of our financial reports and all of the supplemental data, and the so we're kind of proud of that, and the auditors didn't make any adjustments to those. Then they also provide a management letter, and this is only comes occasionally. I don't think we've had one of these for about 5 years. We did get one this year, and it talked about some opportunities that we have to strengthen our internal controls related to public works inventory, both on the counting and the valuation side. And Nikki's going to do a presentation and talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. And so we're required to respond to that in the next audit to talk about what we did to address their concerns. So, in summary, we did have that unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance. No material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, no internal control problems, and no findings related to our single audit. So we think that was successful. And because Michelle Nelson isn't here this evening, we want to make sure that you have their information, and I'll provide that to council also in an email if for any reason you would want to speak to them about any of the results.
Thank you, Kim. Before Nikki makes her presentation, I will say that I met with Michelle and went through all of this, so we've discussed it, and our wishes go out to her that she heals quickly. It must be terrible year after year to get a good, clean report. We don't have anything to do to you.
I get to keep my job. It's a good thing.
Congratulations. Are there any questions for Kim? Okay, Nikki, I think you're on.
Ooh. Oh. All right. So I am here to talk about the annual financial report from the staff's perspective. So we will be going over the content of the annual financial report, some results from our fiscal year 2017-18, the management letter we received, and then we just wanted to brief council on some of our upcoming dates for our annual budget, which is going to be starting in January, and then we'll provide our recommendation. So the annual financial report has several sections, and the items in red are actually prepared by our auditors. We get the reports from them, put those into our document. The rest of the items listed were prepared by staff. So the annual financial report really has two sets of statements. The first one is the government-wide statement. So both these sets of statements provide the same information. They're just presented in different ways. And the government-wide is really an aggregated look at the town's operations. So that includes our general fund, our governmental activities, as well as our business-type activities. So that would be our building, solid waste, parking, and transit. So that those statements are just aggregating everything together, so you get like a full high-level view of everything. The second set are the fund statements, and those list out the information in more detail by fund. So you get more detailed, nitty-gritty view of what's happening in those areas. If you are a casual financial statement user, you don't do this every day, you don't spend 65 hours preparing them, a good place to look to get some information would be the management and discussion and analysis. And that's a narrative that provides a summary of what happened in the town for the year, as well as some context of like why those things occurred the way that they did. And if you like to get into the details, the notes, the financial statements present a detailed narrative of what happened and really describe what's included in the statements. And again, the auditors expressed an opinion and we got an unmodified good opinion. So now we're going to look at some of our results for the year. First, we're going to look at the government-wide. So this is the high-level view. So this is including everything that happened in the town, and we see that as a whole, our revenues primarily came from property tax, sales tax, and charges for services. Charges for services include our building permits, our parking meter fees, and our solid waste fees. This is different than our general fund, which is what we normally talk to council about, where our primary sources of revenue are property tax, sales tax, and TOT. So just slightly different. And next we'll look at our government-wide expenditures. So this is all the expenditures for the whole town, including those business type activities. And our primary expense drivers are Public Works Department, which includes road maintenance, snow removal, trails maintenance, and engineering, and then also public safety, which is our police department. So the governments our accounting is driven by a government accounting standards board, and they have issued statement 68, which relates to reporting the long-term effect of providing our employees with a pension. So we just like to point that out. And then new this year, they've issued statement 75, which is related to providing other post-employment benefits for the town. That's related to providing our retirees the option to purchase health care through our healthcare provider CalPERS. For the town, the retirees are responsible for paying almost their entire premium. Like, we're required to pay a very small portion. And so this GASB 75 reports the financial implications of the amount that we're required to pay. And we did want to point out that this is not a liability. Neither one of these is a liability that the town is expected to pay at any time in the near future. It's an actuarially determined liability, and it's expected to decrease over time. And the amounts are, for the governmental funds, are just show up on our government-wide statements. Kind of confusing. And if you are interested in getting more details on this, there's significant note disclosures for both statements included in the notes of the financial statements, which explains more about, like, what do these numbers mean and how are they calculated. Next, we're going to look at our general fund, which is what council's used to hearing about, because this is the important fund for them. And first, we're going to look at our fund balance. For 17-18, we saw some growth in our assigned and unassigned fund balances. So that's our cash available and money that you guys have set aside for specific purposes. And what this graph is showing us is that we have a healthy fund balance. While it's not showing a constant increasing, we still maintain that this is a healthy fund balance situation, because we have maintained council-directed contingencies and cash available balances, and it also follows the pattern that we have established in Truckee, where we save, we have planned saving, and then we have planned spending. So we think that's good. This is showing the general fund in a format more similar to the way we present it in the budget. So at the top, we have our beginning fund balance, our activities for the year, and then at the end we have our ending fund balance. So as we see, we have growth there. That's good. And then this slide is showing how that ending fund balance is parsed out. So the top, we have our assigned fund balances, and that's the amounts that council has set aside for specific priorities that they see the town needing in the next couple of years. So that's our contingency, which is just money we have set aside in case there's an emergency, and then different contingencies for different capital needs that we're probably going to have in the near future or sometime in the future. And this is showing the year-end results for our enterprise funds, our business type activities. Again, we see that while we don't monitor these funds as closely as our general fund, we still do want to look at them and make sure that they're maintaining healthy fund balances. And here we see that they all ended the year with a positive net fund balance, which is great. That's what we want to see. So we wanted to talk about the management letter that we receive, and as Kim mentioned, this is the way that auditors can identify to management and the council opportunities where we have opportunities to improve our internal controls. So for 17-18, they identified an immaterial difference between the Public Works inventory that was in Public Works system versus the actual results. And what that means is it wasn't, our statements could still be relied on if that mistake had not been found, but we want to correct those issues so that in the future, it doesn't become an issue that makes our statements unreliable. So we are meeting in January of 2019 with our Public Works team to work on process improvements to ensure that there are not any issues going forward. And as Kim stated, those findings will be included in our fiscal year 2018-19 annual financial report next December. You'll have to wait on your toes to find out. And so we wanted to give council a heads up because we are kicking off our budget process, which is our other major process in finance. And we wanted to point out the important dates for council and our new council. So the first important set of dates for council is January 30th and 31st, which is the council priority setting. That's where you can tell staff how you think, how we should set aside money this year to meet the goals of the town and your goals for the town. At the end of March, we'll be providing you with a packet for review, and we'll meet the first week of April for a 4-hour public meeting to talk about how we have preliminarily budgeted to meet your priorities and to meet the ongoing operation requirements of the town. And then the next time we'll see you is in the middle of May for a 6-hour public meeting where we will go over the budget in detail and show you how we've taken your directives from the April meeting and your priorities and made them into a complete budget. And then we'll take any direction you give us at that meeting and bring you a proposed budget in June, hopefully for adoption for a July 1st fiscal year start. And with that, we would like to open this up for any questions.
Thank you, Nikki. And to address the comment from the audience, it is a great deal of fun.
Oh, well, I was going to open it for questions first. Yeah. You might want to.
Any questions for Nikki? Okay, we'll open this for public comment. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. I would entertain a motion to accept the annual financial statements and the audit report.
I just want to echo what you said earlier and say great job again, as always. And it's easy to laugh about how boring this stuff is, but I've come to have a deep, deep respect for the work you all do.
I made a really
appreciate it.
beautiful PowerPoint presentation.
I've been admiring those photos.
Danielle would be proud. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 7.2 is a public hearing for the approval of the town's participation in the California Municipal Finance Authority and the Bond Opportunity for Land Development Program. And David?
Yes, I realized after reading this one, this has a direct tie to an item I recused myself from a few weeks ago, so I'm going to go test out the cake in the back. And
It's your night, Kim.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So I made a grand total of 2 slides for this presentation because we've talked about this issue quite a few times. And this has to do with infrastructure financing. We've been talking actually about a year about this. And so council took the step in November of finalizing the town's local goals and policies related to infrastructure financing. So this is just another step in enabling that to happen. We are recommending that we join the California Municipal Financing Authority, which is a JPA comprised of about 240 cities and towns in the state, and they've done all sorts of financing for local government activities. They have they call their BOLD program. You've heard of CSCDA in the past. We've talked about them. So this would actually have us now belonging to 2 different JPAs and giving us an option on who we work with as we move forward. So there's 2 associated resolutions, and that's here in my staff recommendation. One is to join the CMFA, and the other is to join the BOLD program. There is no fiscal ramifications on the town right now, and we are not obliged to do anything by making these actions other than we will now be members of that organization.
Thank you, Kim. Any questions? I'm almost afraid. We'll open this one for public comment. We'll close public comment. I would entertain a motion for Resolution 2018-80 and 20-18-81.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 4-0. David, if you're done with the cake,
Don't think you had time to eat any.
I think the time we have all been waiting for. I wasn't going to put it quite like that, Patrick, but if you would join me at the podium. Too late to back out.
Much.
I could read the big print version. Whereas Patrick Flora was originally elected to the Truckee Town Council in November of 2012 and then re-elected again in 2014. And whereas during Patrick's tenure, his fellow council members selected him to lead the council as mayor in 2014. Whereas during his terms of office, he's actively served on a variety of council committees and activities, including the Nevada County Local Area Formation Commission, LAFCO, the Chamber of Commerce Liaison, Trails Bikeway Master Plan Committee, the Trout Creek Trail Committee, the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District Facilities Master Plan Committee, Special Events Policy Committee, the Nevada County Remote Access Network Board, the Housing Advisory Working Group, and Marketing and Visitor Service Committee, and the Truckee River Basin Water Group. Busy man.
I've been here a while.
Patrick is most proud of serving on the School District Measure U Facilities Committee and advocating for the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District Track and Field Complex to be included in the planned school upgrades, prioritizing the bike lane paving schedule on West River Street, as well as guiding the town to a fair transient occupancy tax compliance program, and initiating the discussion leading to the town's implementation of open counter. And whereas during his 16 years of service, Patrick worked tirelessly on the Building Appeals Board, the Truckee Planning Commission, and the council, serving the community to better the town and its government. Now therefore it be proclaimed by the mayor of the town of Truckee that Patrick is commended for his dedication and service to the citizens of this community and for the leadership and guidance for which he provided during his tenure in office. Be it further proclaimed that the town extends its sincere wishes to Patrick for the future and urges him to consider providing advice and counsel to future councils as issues may warrant.
Like you could stop me from that. And here I was thinking I was going to get away with having tears.
No, you're not.
Well, I will, in fact, make this brief, but I would just like to take this opportunity to say how proud I am to have served the town over the years, and more importantly, to have worked with so many great people, both on council, planning commission, staff, and the community at large that are all always pitching in for the town's betterment. So, thank you.
I'm going to miss his dry and wry wit. Comments from council, please. David?
Yeah, Patrick, three things stand out for me besides your incredible tenure of service to the community, both in the Planning Commission, Council, and elsewhere. Number one, I think you drive the sportiest and fastest car of any of the council members in the history of Truckee.
Thank you for sharing that.
Number two, I'm really going to miss the curveballs that you throw our town attorney almost once at every council meeting. So we're going to have to.
I will too. We're
going to have to find a replacement for that. And then thirdly, perhaps the most important thing, I recall back in 2016 when I was contemplating running for council. I reached out to you and we met at Wild Cherries and had a coffee, and I was looking for your advice on the role. And something you said during that meeting really stuck with me, and it was really simple but really profound. And you said that the thing that guided every decision you made or that you were contemplating for the town, every agenda item that came in front of you, your measuring stick was, is this in the best interest of Truckee? Is this in the best interest of our community? And that was your guiding principle. And it just really stuck with me, and I really appreciate it. And I've sort of adopted that as my sort of lens to look through every issue with. So I really appreciate that, and thank you for the council and the collaboration these past several years. And all the best wishes.
Thank you for saying yes.
Thank you.
Jessica?
I really respect you. I know we haven't always agreed on every topic or issue, but the love that you have for this community is so apparent. And I've written some stuff down, so I apologize. I'm not looking right at you, but the decades of time that you've put in to to serving your community, and always having a strong voice full of conviction, always speaking up for what you believe, as David said, to be really in the best interest of the community, regardless of what others may say or think. And I really admire that, and it has been a wonderful opportunity to be able to sit up here with you and always hear what your perspective is, because it's oftentimes things that maybe I haven't seen on my own. So it's been great. So I'm going to miss you. Thank you.
Morgan?
Patrick, it has been an absolute pleasure and adventure. I don't think anyone's mentioned the starring role that you played in the Truckee Follies this year. I just want to say it was a pleasure to be part of that with you as well. I think that you're...
$5.
Oh. We done yet over there? I think that we will always remember your conviction for the importance of brevity, and I hope that we all kind of carry the importance of that forward, and we'll keep the torch going. But really, I just echo what's been said already. I mean, the depth of care that you have for the town, the amount of experience you bring, but it's not just years or numbers of experience. It's a perspective and it's a view into how this community works that I found really, really valuable, even when I've disagreed. And that's been, I think, good for all of us. And I do appreciate that. Thank you.
You're going to be missed. I'll get to you later.
Carolyn. Whereas Carolyn Wallace D. was originally elected to the Truckee Town Council in November of 2006, then re-elected in 2010 and 2014. And whereas during Carolyn's tenure, her fellow council members selected her to lead the council as mayor in 2010, 2013, and 2018. And whereas during her terms of office, she actively served on a variety of council committees and activities, including the Green Building Committee, Citizens Waste Advisory Committee, Nevada County Transportation Commission, Mousehole Stakeholders Committee, Measure A Committee, Humane Society Capital Campaign Advisory Committee, Truckee Tomorrow Steering Committee, Tahoe Forest Hospital District Orthopedic Sports Performance Advisory Council, the Trails Amenities Subcommittee, Athlete Recognition Subcommittee, Airport Land Use Commission, the 25th Anniversary Subcommittee, and Nevada County Remote Access Network Board. Wow. Whereas Carolyn is proud of living the Truckee way through collaborating with council members, staff, other jurisdictions, and the public to accomplish the town's goals, she is also proud of her extensive involvement in transportation from the mini Mousehole to improve town roadways. And whereas during these 12 years of service, Carolyn worked tirelessly on behalf of the community, volunteering for any tasks that might better the town and its government. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Town Council of the Town of Truckee that the council commends Carolyn for her dedication and service to the citizens of this community and for the leadership and guidance which she provided during her tenure in office. Be it further proclaimed that the town extends its sincere best wishes to Carolyn for the future and urges her to continue providing advice and counsel to future town councils as issues may warrant. Carolyn. Can I add just a few words?
You may.
Okay. I remember back in 2006, election season, and the first time I spotted this very catchy, attractive election sign that urged us all to make the right decision. And I tell you what, it worked, and the town made the right decision, and did it twice more. So you have made history. 12 years on the council. That's nearly, I think that's longer than any other council member, nearly half the time of our town since incorporation. Remarkable dedication. And I do want to say, one other thing. You've taught us all a lot about being council members, how to run a meeting. You've done that with incredible talent and just incredible talent, if you will. And the other thing I think you've taught us, especially this year, is what courage means.
All right, that's at least $10.
We'll wait for the distraction to exit. Okay. So what I was trying to say was that you've faced incredible adversity this year, and you've done so with incredible determination and courage. And I think it's just been an amazing example for all of us. Your level of commitment has been, beyond anything I think I've seen, and for that we're very, very grateful, and we're going to miss you dearly. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I look around this room and I see friends and colleagues, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 former mayors. Our first mayor, Kathleen Egan, former Mayor Ted Owens, also former county supervisor, former Mayor Joan Jones, and Alicia Barrs hiding back there in the back. I also see family, and I'm going to embarrass them, but I'd like you to meet my sister Melanie and her husband Bill, and my brother David, and his wife Megan. There's another brother and another sister out there, and a brother-in-law and a sister-in-law and another sister-in-law, and this has been my team and my support network for the last 12 years. They've known that Truckee was my priority. They know what I believe in and how I work, and I am honored that they're here tonight. Over these many years, I've been privileged to work with some amazing colleagues on this dais, and they've become good friends. We've had disagreements, but we've all had one thought in mind, and that is to make Truckee the little town that does, and we do it well. And so it wasn't me, it wasn't just them, it's everybody. But as David said, most of you know this has been a challenging year for me, and I owe a huge debt of thanks to this council. I mean, Patrick, on moment's notice, has stepped up and led difficult discussions when my voice just couldn't do it anymore. David stepped in more times than I had the right to ask, filled in for me. You don't find that kind of people very often, so thank you to this council for your support. It's been amazing. You elect us to sit up here and give advice, hopefully judiciously, hopefully rationally, but we aren't the ones that really make it happen. It's the staff that does, and this town needs to know how blessed and lucky they are. I spent 10.5 years working with Tony Lashbrook, a year and a half now with Jeff Lux. They make the job enjoyable. I'd say easy, but not always. And then our incredible senior management staff, Tim Zurich, our administrative director, the guy with the talking computer back there, Dan Wilson's the head of public works, Andy Morris, our town attorney, our chief of police, Rob Lefkowitz, our town clerk, Judy Price, and our community development director, I didn't need that water, Danielle Nishimori. Truckee is truly lucky to have you and your teams. Thank you.
Good.
The other side of that dynamic equation that makes this work is you, the public. A wise person once said, and I'm paraphrasing this, it's the duty of the community to become involved. And Truckee is involved. This community is more involved than anywhere I have ever worked, and it's impressive. You show up and you tell us loud and clear what you want. Not always what we expected to hear, but what you want. You keep us focused on the path to making Truckee great. And then you make it better by volunteering to help and do the work and get it done. It's amazing, and it's been easy to do what I enjoy for people in a community about which I care very deeply. Thank you for giving me the privilege to serve you. Please stay involved because you know I will.
Okay, I'd like to open this up for council comment.
Carolyn, I'm really going to miss you. I've appreciated so much the opportunity to serve with you. I tremendously admire the ability that you have to lead and while doing so to maintain this uncanny grace under pressure. You make challenging situations look effortless. You always have a minute to listen and a tidbit of wisdom to share, whether it's been professional, personal, political. I appreciate the talks that you and I have had, the perspective that you've given me, and the mentorship. Coming from a strong, independent, powerful woman who is also kind and empathetic and sensitive. You are a huge role model, and it's really been an honor to sit up here with you.
Carolyn, you will be forever remembered in this town for your service. I just remember especially you on the stage emceeing the 25th anniversary event, and you're just a natural at it. You held the town in your thoughts and in your actions, not just that afternoon, but really for 12 years. And that is a commitment that I think few people really are able to deeply understand. You have an uncanny knack for having your ear to the ground and hearing both the breaking news and the gossip and everything in between. And you have not hesitated to give me advice in really clear and focused and helpful ways, and for that I'm very grateful. But really, I think that your grace and your strength, especially this year, but not just this year, has been remarkable. And so I thank you, and we'll definitely we won't stop talking after this.
Thank you, Morty.
I don't know if you recall, but I was on the CAT interview committee for the town council back in 2006. And it was just readily apparent, even as a relatively new member of the community, your passion for Truckee and your willingness to serve the town. And I think that's been borne out over the last 12 years. And to the community as a whole, I would just say I don't think they will ever be able to really thank you properly for everything you've done for the town.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, we're going to open these two presentations up to public comment. If you would like to speak, please step to the podium, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council and mayor. My name's Jamie Breimer, and I won't take 3 minutes, just a few
You need to
seconds.
turn on your mic, Jamie.
Pardon me?
Turn on your mic.
I didn't realize.
There you go.
There we go. Do I have to start over?
No.
Okay. Jamie Breimer here, and I won't take 3 minutes. Patrick, thank you so much for your time and dedication, not only as being a council member, but the planning commission and that huge laundry list of accomplishments over the years. Thank you very much. Carolyn, going to truly miss you. It's been 12 years of being able to see you up here, and your accomplishments have just been limitless. And I think the one that will stand out the most for you is overseeing and making sure that the Minnie Mouse hole was accomplished. I know that was a true passion, and you know how much I hate graffiti, but I'm thinking of spray painting up there Carolyn's mouse hole. So, thank you so much for your dedication and time.
Mayor and council members, Tony Lashbrook, interested citizen. Nice to be here. Weird to be standing here. I'd much rather, I could queue up my PowerPoint. But I'm probably going to take more than 3 minutes. So, Ms. Price, would you?
I currently don't have a timer.
Timer, good, yeah. So I want to talk about Patrick first. And I think of Patrick, so I think I worked alongside Patrick for 5 years as I was town manager and Patrick was on the council. He became a planning commissioner right after I became town manager, so I didn't really have that close working relationship when he was on the planning planning commission, but I do think of Patrick really as the council member focused on planning. And I think part of that was his planning commission role, and part of it was his LAFCO commitment that he was involved with. And I think Patrick played a very important role. He wasn't directly involved in the 2006 general plan update, at least not on a town basis. He was definitely involved. But he recognized the fundamental importance of adopted policies and regulations. And I think time and again, he stepped up and did that. And particularly those that were hammered out in long, protracted public processes, otherwise known as the Truckee Way. And I think that was really important. So there are three things about Patrick that stand out, his service on the council that stand out in my mind. First, he had an uncanny ability to remember in intricate detail why plans, policies, and regulations were put in place, and and why they make sense. That often, and at least in my experience, lifted some of the burden off of staff of being the keeper of those things. So Patrick was there, he was involved, and he recognized the importance. I think it was also really important to the people that participated in those processes that, hey, we spent a lot of time and effort hammering out a set of principles, and here's a guy that's honoring those as he sits up here making decisions. So I think Patrick did that job extremely well. I also think Patrick, as he sitting out on the dais, had a really innate ability to kind of listen to a room full of public comment, pull out the nuggets and kind of get rid of the noise and really focus on what he was hearing and use that in his decision-making process. And I think that's a real skill and talent that benefited the community. And finally, and I think maybe rare, he had a sustained willingness to speak his mind and stand up for what he believed was right for Truckee, even if his decision might be unpopular. And so for those reasons, I honor your service to the town in our community. So thank you. Now on to Carolyn. I think I worked alongside Carolyn for 11 of her 12 years on the council, that as long as I worked with anybody. There are 4 traits that Carolyn brought to this job that, in my opinion, made her an outstanding council member and mayor. The first, no one's brought this up tonight, she has an incredible network of influential friends and associates in important positions in the state and federal government. It's unbelievable. And I think, particularly important to a small town planner that, worked in Mariposa County and Truckee and didn't spend a lot of time in Sacramento. It's like, wow, you know that guy? Not only did she know them, but she had the gumption to figure out how to communicate with them and use her relationships with those folks for the betterment of our community. And it was amazing to watch. And so thank you for that. It's been said, Carolyn had a laser focus on transportation issues. That's really important. It takes substantial political advocacy and staying power to get, for instance, a complex $12 million project like the Mouse Hole approved and built with about 90% state and federal funding. We couldn't have done that project without that money or that sustained energy. And so thank you for that. Third, and she already talked about it, an unwavering support for town staff. Not an attitude that the staff was always right. That's not the point. But a recognition that in terms of providing services in our community, the staff is where the rubber hits the road. And be it a cop, in the middle of the night out on patrol, or a public works snow plowers working 12-hour shifts for undeterminable amount of days, or the planning and engineering staff kind of twisting the arms of developers to get the project that they're proposing so it makes Truckee not just bigger, but better. And Those are hard things to do, but Carolyn was always there to say thanks and recognize those efforts. And I think that's a trait from elected officials is probably more important than most realize. And then finally, and it's been said, her commitment to being accessible to the Truckee community. Most visible during her terms as mayor, but over the entire 12 years, she was seemingly everywhere. Through hell or high water, and that's been touched upon tonight, to ensure that the community knew that town projects or their event or their new business was important to the town council. Really important for the community to have that relationship with our elected official. So thank you, Carolyn.
Good evening, Council. Joan Jones, previous council member and mayor. I will keep it to 3 minutes because I wrote my speech earlier, but I wanted to make a few comments. To Patrick, I want to thank you for your service above all else, but for your concise decision making, especially. I'll never forget when you would say, "Okay, folks, it's let me just be clear on my decision making on these 5 topics. I got a yes, a no, a yes, a no." You would bring up often, okay, and this relates to a lot of what Tony said about your planning commission, but you'd say, is this a should or a shall? Let's discuss it again. Is this a should or a shall? And I really appreciate that you pushed to get to shall or more often than should. Your planning commission experience was really invaluable, as Tony had mentioned, but your push for TOT equity was kind of the first thing you came on the council, and you were raring to go on that item, and you continued to push until we all saw the value in it and the relevance. And I appreciate that you stayed on that topic. The trails and the roads, and I remember in budget meetings, so when are we going to widen Westover Street? When is that going to happen? And just that constant, like, you had focus to certain things, and you really pushed for that, and I appreciate that, and I'm grateful for it. And Carolyn, for 12 years of service, of which I got the pleasure of being on the council with you for 8 years, my whole entire time, I'm amazed by your dedication, your hard work, your commitment. 3 stints as mayor. It's a lot of work to be mayor, and you did that. You were just an incredible mayor every time. Tony mentioned that you were at everything. That was what I wrote down. You attended every event, every grand opening, every time the police were having some event, the school district, you were there. You represented our town so well. Your dedication to roads and safety. You worked diligently on the mouse hole, as has been said. And you're a fighter no matter what. You've always put Truckee first, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Elder Jones. Ted Owens, a former council member. I'll keep this concise. It was a long time ago that I met Patrick Flora. In the early stages of founding the Contractors Association. And having gone through that experience, years later when it became apparent he would serve on the town council, I thought to myself, this is going to be good. You've done an outstanding job. Much has been said about the nature of your service, your critical mind, your lack of fear for taking a position is duly noted. You've been a very good friend to me, but more so you've been a very good friend to this community. It is a very difficult job doing what they do. And you don't realize how difficult it is until the very first moment that you sit there in that chair and the microphone is in your face. And you realize that you don't have a safety line, a telephone call, or anyone to reach out to save you in the moment. It is a challenge. You've stood up to the challenge. You've done it extremely well. And we will get that beer that we've been talking about for about 3-4 years now. So, Patrick, I think I was very impressed with your stick-to-itiveness as a planning commissioner, your digestion and understanding of the general plan and of the development code and of policy and of intent. And it was a pleasing day to see you move to the council. It's a sad day to see you leave, but it is a tough job. You've done it well, and you've served this community beyond reproach. I'm proud to be your friend. Carolyn, I met you a long time ago, and there was a line in a movie, and I didn't know what it was that they were talking about. And then I met Carolyn, and I said, that's what a whirling dervish is. I've never seen one before. One who lacks in energy, one who never rests, one who never stops thinking, never stops wondering about things, tackling mountains before you on behalf of the community, as it was well put by other speakers, by Tony and by Joan. I have never met anybody like you in my life. I don't know that I ever will again. You have been a shining star in the definition of service for a community. You make it your point to show up. You are always well-dressed and carry yourself on behalf of this community with the utmost of grace. And there is nothing like being with Carolyn and you think that you're going to maybe have to introduce yourself, meeting Dianne Feinstein, and we approach, and all of a sudden the senator goes, Carolyn! What? How can this be? But you have forged friendships, and the one thing that I truly admire, particularly with some friendships from those days in San Francisco and you've carried forward to today, is it doesn't matter whether they have an R after their name or a D after their name, because Carolyn D, she doesn't see that. It's about getting things done. And this is a town about getting things done, and it was a perfect place for you to land. Again, as I said to Patrick, I'm very proud to have you as my friend, both of you. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for doing a tough job and doing it well.
I like the new hairdo.
I have a teenage daughter, so we co-conspired. Alicia Barr, former town council. First of all, I want to thank you both so much, not just for your service that's been mentioned numerous times, but for your selflessness. I don't think many people realize how much you both have sacrificed individually for what you do for us as a community. And I think the term selflessness truly applies to both of you in the extreme. And I want to thank you for that. Patrick, you and I first met when we both decided to throw our hat in the ring to run and ended up pseudo co-campaigning together. And it was so much fun to get to know you and go through our rookie year together of council. And to me, you epitomize, you don't just talk the talk, you walk. You don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. Every principle that you have up here, you live every moment of your life. And I think the authenticity that you bring to public service is amazing. Carolyn, you were mayor my first year on council, and I couldn't have had a higher bar set for someone who is such a champion for Truckee. In the way you led meetings, in the way you represented at events, you were just the epitome of this is the face of our community, and I'm really proud to be a part of that. And your energy will be missed a lot. Like the whirling dervish was spot on, Ted. There's nobody like you for that. And we've been very fortunate to have you 3 times as mayor, but like people have said, even when you weren't mayor, you were still just Truckee first, such a champion for us all. So thank you both. Congratulations on your retirement. But don't be shy. Thank you guys.
Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Public comment is closed. Now, what you have all been waiting for. If I could have Anna, Morgan, and David join Judy Price right up here, we're going to swear them into office.
Photo opportunities, so make sure you have a photo.
We don't need to sign right now.
Don't feel bad if you don't have this memorized, because Judy's got this.
She's got it.
Awesome. I'll have all three of you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, in your name, do solemnly swear
I, David Paul, do solemnly swear
to support and defend
to support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic.
I bear true faith and allegiance
I bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California.
I take this obligation freely,
I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which
the duties upon which
I'm about to enter.
I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
We are going to take a short break. There are refreshments in the back of the room, and they're going to reset the dais. And congratulations to each of you.
Thank you.
Probably mine is.
Okay, welcome back to December 11th, 2018, second half of the council meeting. Would like to welcome our new council members, Anna, Dave, and welcome back, Morgan. Good to have you back. So, would like to go ahead and open this up for comments from our new council members. Give you an opportunity to maybe introduce yourselves again to the community, and maybe Anna, if we'll start with you.
Get my iPad up.
Or
Thank you, David. So I do want to just spend a moment to echo the chorus of praise rendered upon Mayor Carolyn D. Wallace and Councilman Patrick Flora. It's all true. I know it. And I want to thank you very, very much for your commitment to this town. On the break, I just kept thinking to myself, all right, I need to stand for something and take strong action and be worthy of such praise that you enjoyed tonight. I hope you all will remain involved, and I do plan on calling on you, including some of the other people out there that I've talked to. Your accomplishments and contributions reach all ends of this community. People have commented to me numerous times that I have big shoes to fill, or a broad shadow to walk in. But I would prefer to look at it as, I see we all get to enjoy the light that you shine on this community, and that you have planted seeds that we will get to reap the crops of as this new town council. Thank you.
thank you, Anna. Dave or David Pallaby?
Thank you, David Tierman. We've sort of got a side thing going in case you haven't figured out, but I'm going to go by Dave at least here for a little while, so we don't have a lot of confusion out there between which David you're actually referring to, because we're both just going to keep looking at you. So again, I want to say thank you very much to both Patrick and Carolyn. The words that were spoken were really touching and really amazing, and I feel honored to be here. Feel honored to represent our community. We had a really fantastic campaign season while it's behind us now. I know Susie and Chelsea were here earlier, and all of the other candidates. It was a really exciting time for this community, and I think the three of us, who at least were elected in the last election, feel very much like we were pushed to articulate our vision and pushed to be stronger candidates because of each other. So I just want to say thank you for electing me and allowing me to serve our really amazing community. I will also bring some planning commission experience where I've been for the past couple of years, so I look forward to bringing that up here to council. And I very much look forward to working with the other four of you and staff as well as we move forward. So thank you very much. I appreciate the warm welcome and look forward to getting down to business here in the new year, or actually tonight, but really in the new year after that.
Thank you, Dave, and also thank you for your 2 years of service on the Planning Commission before this. Morgan.
Well, I'll keep this pretty brief, but I just want to say, Anna, congratulations on a fantastically well-run campaign and for leaping into something that was definitely more exciting than putting your toe in the water. And I'm really looking forward to serving with you. And David, you've been serving the town. You've proven that you're committed and passionate and knowledgeable about the town. And I think that it's a exciting moment and not a moment without some trepidation for us as council. This is a newer council. This is a lot of fresh faces, especially if you go back just a couple of years. And I just want to say, don't hesitate to call.
Thank you, Morgan. Jessica, any comments?
Welcome, Dave and Anna. It's impressive, the campaigns that you ran. Well, and Morgan, welcome back. We missed you. Sorry. David and I were lucky enough, maybe, to not have to run a campaign, but an example that I've used recently is that of a sea turtle, where when they're born, they hatch in the sand far from the water, and they have to walk through the sand to get to the ocean. If they are picked up and brought to the ocean, they don't have the strength to escape from predators or to find food. So the struggle they go through with the walking down the beach to get into the water is really what enables them to thrive in the rest of their existence. And I feel like your running this campaign helped you to build these muscles, so you're going to come in very well prepared for your time here. Where it's been a bit of a learning curve for those of us. I don't know if I can only speak for myself, coming in without having had that experience. So I'm tremendously respectful of the work you've done to get here, and I'm really looking forward to working with all three of you and continuing with you, David, on the council. So welcome.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, next item up is selection of mayor for the coming year. And so in my role as vice mayor, I think the first thing we'll do is call for discussion or nominations.
I'll nominate you.
Thank you. Okay, well.
Do I have to? I would officially like to nominate David Tierman. Is that?
We got it.
Thank you very much. So I guess we will then, and by the way, I'm honored, so thank you. We will call for a vote.
Are there any other nominations?
Are there any other nominations? Sorry, gosh, a little anxious there, but.
Yeah.
None.
Conceivable not.
Not a very good show for the. Any other nominations?
No.
Okay. All right. Then we'll call for a vote. All in favor of me for mayor?
Aye.
Okay. I think that passed unanimously. So thank you so much for that. Looking forward to working with all of you for this coming year.
Congratulations.
Excited. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right. So next up, we have the selection of vice mayor, and this will be my first act as mayor. So. I just wanted to. We're going to open this up for discussion and then nominations. And I just wanted to offer just a few words of a few thoughts because I just came off of being vice mayor about a minute ago, and had a very interesting year. I think going into it, I didn't anticipate and expect the kind of time demands it was going to require. As you all know, our mayor found herself facing some very serious health challenges shortly into her tenure, and it required me to kind of pick up the ball. And I think the key points I wanted to relay about this position is you really have to be prepared to step in at a moment's notice. The time demands can be double what they already are being a council member. You have to be prepared to lead meetings, to represent the town as if you are the mayor when the mayor cannot. So that really, takes a strong sense of dedication and commitment and the ability from a timing perspective to do it. I kind of think of it as being what's the word? Analogous. Messed that up to a pilot and a co-pilot in the cockpit. The pilot has to know that the co-pilot can pick up the wheel at any time and fly the plane. And I think there's a comfort level with that. So this is maybe the first and last time that I will open a discussion with a discussion. And I promise going forward that I'll sit back. But I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts about what this position means, because I think it's more important than many people may realize. So with that, we'll open it for discussion.
Can I make a comment? So it would obviously be the natural progression, kind of the way Truckee works, for me to be nominated for the vice mayor role next. And really based on what you've just said, I've done some soul searching and some time thinking about if that's a role that I would want to step into. And while it would be a great honor, I'm not feeling a driving need to become the next vice mayor of the town. And as a single mom with a full-time job, I don't know that I would be willing to make the sacrifice that would need to be required to really serve the community the way the community would deserve to be served. So if you're taking nominations, I'm happy to make one, but I wanted to share that just because it's not really aligned with how Truckee typically flows, and I'm okay with not going that same route.
Thank you, Jessica, for your
cool
honor.
Title, but my ego's not that big. I don't need it.
Thank you, Jessica, for your honesty. Yeah. Any discussion or nominations?
Yeah, so I'll continue on.
Okay.
Okay. It's a big learning curve, even though you've run very successful campaigns. And so I would be happy to nominate Morgan if he would be interested in doing it again, because he's our new elder up here.
Jeff, you've coined a hell of a phrase. Thank you, Jessica. It's not something I would take lightly, but I am willing to make the time, and but yeah, I guess we should see if there's any other nominations.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay. Well, with that, no second is required. Remember that. So we'll go ahead. Yes, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor of Morgan serving as vice mayor?
Aye.
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 Okay. That sounded unanimous. So Morgan Goodwin, congratulations, vice mayor of Truckee for the next year. Okay. So I think we're set for the year ahead, and at this point in time, we'll take council reports. So, Jessica, you want to start?
I went in your place to the How's Truckee First workshop, which was amazing. It was dumping snow. It was a horrible weather, and there were like 50 plus people in this room talking about how to help our town with our housing issues. So that was a really great event. I attended the Santa Claus fly-in at the Truckee Airport on Saturday. We got to make ornaments and take photos. And I attended a meeting yesterday with staff following up with the library negotiations we've been working on.
Thank you, Jessica. Morgan.
Briefly, I had a lunch meeting today with Shauna Doherty and her team with the Mountain Housing Council, working on the short-term rental policy analysis document. I have been a not very present attendee of the Tiger team working on that, but it was great to go through and kind kind of see where that team has gotten to, and we should be expecting the analysis to be published and kind of distributed soon, and we'll have the benefit of the hard work of the Mountain Housing Council with which to consider if there's any short-term rental policy from this body.
Excellent. Good. And for Dave and Anna, we'll look forward to your first council reports on January 8th, 2019.
I actually have some to report.
Oh, you have something. Okay, sorry.
And,
wow.
And first, I would like to just say that I'm really honored to be serving up here, and that I'm really grateful for Morgan taking the role of vice mayor and helping us learn what it is that we need to do in order to assume those roles in the future. So thank you for that. So I have had several meetings in the past with past town council members and town staff and community members to try to educate me on what it is that I need to be doing up here, or not doing, as the case may be. I attended the Town of Truckee holiday party that many of you were at, and the film festival, Tahoe Film Festival, benefiting the Sierra Watershed Education Partnership, and attended the Community Collaborative holiday party as well, which was really fantastic. We have some amazing organizations collaborating in our community.
Great. Thank you, Anna. And my apologies for presuming that it was going to be January 8th. Dave Pallaby.
I'll be brief. I was at the November Planning Commission meeting. That was quite entertaining, and I'll be missing my role at the December one. But other than that, just the holiday party and just like on a number of meetings, just to get up to speed as quickly as possible, and meeting with our town manager tomorrow, and hopefully the other department heads in the near future as we move forward. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dave. And then for me, yes, Town Holiday Party, wonderful event. It was great to see everybody there. And then the prior week, I attended a Mountain Town and Resort Planners Summit up in Canmore, Alberta in Canada. Flew up to Calgary and then took public transport up to the conference. It was a fantastic conference. I believe Morgan and Jessica, you went to Telluride. I think it was the same conference a year or two ago. No? Different? Okay. Well, in any event, it was a gathering of mayors and planners from other mountain towns, including Jackson Hole. I think Park City was there, Aspen, Vail, communities in Canada. And four main topics were discussed, and it was interesting to hear about the other communities with the same sorts of issues and struggles that we have right here in Truckee. The four topics were, number one, workforce housing, how to create more workforce housing. Number two was climate action planning. Number three was the interface of wildlife with our built environment. It was fascinating to see in Canmore overpasses and underpasses allowing wildlife to cross highways safely. Mortality rates have gone down 80% with that example. And then the fourth item was focus on multimodal transportation. So amazing event. I highly encourage my fellow council members to think about going next year. I'm not sure where it's going to be, but yeah, anyway, that's my report. And again, thrilled to have our new council members and welcome Morgan back. And Jessica, thank you as well. Looking forward to working with all of you in the coming years. And with that, we are not going to be meeting on December 25th. I think we have other things we'll be doing, but we will be reconvening on January 8th at 6 p.m. right here. So thank you all for coming.